And it's only right that we bring in our special guest here. You guys, you got Matt raising the roof, so you know it's exciting.
I'm always excited when Jerry's in studio.
It's going to take a lot of raising. This is pretty high roof.
Oh man, you're already beaming your light. You guys love him. You know him. Former Kings coach and Kings GM Jerry Reynolds is here joining us. Jerry, thank you so much for being here.
Well, I'm glad I could. I just love talking basketball, as you guys know, and great ball game, great series. I think it's going to be a great series. We weren't sure. We ought to be sure now because the Heat, as you pointed out, hey, they're not going anywhere. They beat Milwaukee and they beat Boston, the two teams in the league with the best record. So anyone that thinks that they're going to roll over for Denver, I think got a good clue tonight.
Yeah, well, you look at the Heat's path to get here, like you said, taking down the top-seeded Bucks, the Boston Celtics. They're proving that they deserve to be on this stage, and we definitely saw that there tonight. Now, one of the first things I want to talk about is the Heat in the fourth quarter, Matt. I mean, what was it about them in that fourth quarter that just really impressed you the most?
Well, Jerry, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, too. I thought in this game in general, this is an awesome, back-and-forth punches and counter-punches battle. You have great start by the Heat, the response by the Nuggets. The Heat kind of make a run, the Nuggets make a run. The Heat have the big fourth quarter. Of course, this game comes down to the wire. I'm really impressed by the coaching on both sides. I'm really impressed by the shot-making from not just one or two guys, but multiple guys over the course of this game. And that's what I think was the big difference in this fourth quarter is it started with Duncan Robinson. It starts with a role player. Then Jimmy and Bam kind of take over, and then the Heat defense gets the big stop. So the Heat got it from more than just one or two areas, which is what they were lacking in game one.
Yeah, and they made their shots, their threes. Obviously, every team in the league now depends on making threes. They did that, as you pointed out. They got excellent contributions from the bench guys. Kevin Love, even though he didn't score, had an impact. And as you pointed out, I thought Denver fought back real well. But probably the one thing that they didn't have Jamal Murray at his best. And I always say when Jokic has to score 40, that's not really your best Denver team. He's at his best when he's 25 points, 15 rebounds, 15 assists kind of guy. So a very, very interesting game. And as you pointed out, absolutely agreed. Excellent coaching. You saw a lot of defensive changes during the course of the game. Zone, man-to-man, some pressure. Eric Spoelstra obviously has been there, done that. And but Michael Malone, obviously, one of the elite young coaches, still learning, as you might say. But yeah, great series in every way.
You mentioned Nikola Jokic there. The fact, obviously, he had a game-high 41 tonight, was doing a lot. Earlier today, we heard another former Kings head coach, Rick Adelman, say that he believes that Jokic is the best player he's ever seen. My question to you, Coach, you've seen a lot of basketball, you've seen a lot of players throughout your illustrious career. Do you feel that Jokic, when it's all said and done, will be in one of those top 5, maybe top 10 players of all time?
I think he could be a top 10. And I love Rick Adelman, and he deserves all the credit. And I think partly because David Adelman, his son, is an assistant coach, that might have brought that out. And certainly Jokic deserves to be in some category, very high category. But I've seen LeBron, I've seen Jordan, I've seen Bird and Magic, and Oscar Robertson when he was young. Some of those guys, and you can't forget Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, a guy he only averaged 50 a game for a season. So let's just pump the brakes a little bit.
Now, Matt, obviously, when you look at these NBA finals, coaching obviously plays a significant role in it.
Absolutely. Coaching is huge, and we talked a little bit already about the battle going on between Mike Malone and Eric Spoelstra, but since we have a former NBA coach here in Jerry, we know about, when you have to look on the other side of the floor and see Jimmy Butler facing off against you, maybe you're intimidated by that. You see Nikola Jokic, you're intimidated by that. Giannis Antetokounmpo, doesn't matter who it is. Did coaches ever intimidate each other, not with necessarily their attitude or who they were as people, but because you knew they were so cerebral, they're so good at what they do that even if you threw your best punch, they're going to find a way to have an adjustment for you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I think of the Pat Rileys, the Phil Jacksons, the Greg Popoviches. I mean, I think just about any coach other than those three guys for a period would look down the sideline and say, oops, I'm in trouble here. And certainly Eric Spoelstra, I think, certainly has reached that category. I think Mike Malone will soon in time. So yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. I mean, and you can't get that intimidation factor if you haven't done it.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Now, one of the things I wanted to highlight or shine a light on, we kind of heard me talk about it during the highlights, but one of our locals playing in this the finals, Gabe Vincent, the Modesto native, obviously played basketball at St. Mary's in Stockton, still trains under Gus Armstead. You know, Jerry, to see a local kid from this area, obviously we know you're not from this area, but to see someone come up undrafted, play in the G League with the Stockton Kings and make it to this level and play this good on the big stage, what is your reaction to this?
Well, obviously it's very well deserved because, you know, he hadn't had anything given to him. He's had to earn it every step of the way. You know, didn't go to one of the Big Five school kind of things, right. You know, and then played in the G League. And he's one of those guys who carved out his own niche. And really, as you mentioned, Gus Armstead, he's the best. I mean, I have known him. I mean, he is as good as any player development guy in America. Sea to shining sea, and so to just get that kind of training because there's no nonsense. And so Gabe, obviously, you go to Miami, there's no nonsense. It's just a comfortable step.
You talked about Jamal Murray earlier. It wasn't his best game tonight, which is a major reason you said, and I agree with you, why the Miami Heat won. Jamal Murray has kind of had a resurgence because he was really good in the bubble. Remember, he kind of made a name for himself in the bubble. Then he battled injuries and dealt with injuries. Now he's come back and suddenly on this stage, I've seen people saying playoff Jamal Murray is a real thing. He's more known for his playoffs than he is during the regular season at this point. What do you think of his reemergence, and how good is it to see a story of a player that goes down with a pretty significant injury and comes back better? Like, that's always good.
Yeah, it's amazing. And here again, credit to him because he's had to fight through it. And really early, even this season, he really didn't look like Jamal Murray. About the second half of the year, watching the Nuggets, I was thinking, you know, okay, he's back. And certainly he's been, right now, you'd say, you know, he and Jokic are the best two-player combination in the league. And, you know, it's probably going to last a lot of years. But Jamal, to all his credit, I mean, you know, coming back from those kind of injuries, you got to fight through a lot of things, and certainly he's done that.
Well, Jerry, we've talked about punches and counter punches. Now the series goes to Miami. The Heat did what they had to do. They got a game in Denver. Now, the advantage kind of shifts in their favor, but it seems like an obvious question, but to go a little bit deeper, how essential is it for the success of the Heat to actually win the series and win a championship to pick up on the work that they just did and win and protect on their home floor?
Oh, absolutely. That's it. I mean, and it won't be easy because the Nuggets know the same thing. I mean, they had the home court advantage. Now they don't. And so to get it back, they got to go win a game in Miami. So, hey, the bottom line is both teams have got to win 3 more. That's it.
Would you care to say your prediction right now?
Yeah, no, I predicted before it started on several different podcasts and things that it would go 6, Denver winning in 6. Now, I'm kind of thinking it's probably going to be 7, but I still think Denver will find a way to win the series.
Well, Denver definitely has a lot of firepower and probably the more talented team. Matt, who do you have winning the series?
I had Denver in 6. My prediction before the year, Jerry, was I thought the champion was coming out of the East and the West doesn't have a chance. But a lot of us slept on the Nuggets, and here they are. So I think Nuggets in 6 still.
Well, Matt, Jerry, I don't think it's just us who slept on. I think the majority of the people, I don't know any person who said they had the Heat facing the Nuggets in this year's NBA Finals.
They're liars.
I was going to say, if they did, they are lying.
Well, especially in the play-in game, Atlanta Hawks beat them in the first play-in game, for goodness sake. So, yeah, anybody that says that, you're right. If you raise your hand and say that, you just lied.
Right, exactly. Well, it's definitely been a Cinderella run for the Miami Heat, to say the least. And, of course, remember, you can catch the rest of the NBA Finals right here on ABC 10. Jerry, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate you. Any words of wisdom before we get out of here?
If I had them, I would save them. I don't have them.
Gotta love Jerry Reynolds. He is a gem. All right, well, this is what we have coming up on Toyota Sports Extra.